true. She actually just asked for the definition.
I'm sorry. Well, then if either you misheard or it seemed that I misspoke, I'll be very clear. Marcia Blackburn just said, what's the definition of a woman? She didn't specify anything else. Now, you then said that biology has no place here, or that the dictionary definition has no place. But that's not what Marcia Blackburn asked for.
Michael Knowles absolutely destroys David Packman's woke and dumb arguments about who do you really consider as a woman.
So, David, you saw the clip. You've been watching the Ketanji Jackson hearings. Am I crazy, or should a twice Harvard-educated nominee, federal judge, nominee for the Supreme Court, who is a woman, be able to define what a woman is?
I can't say if you're crazy. That would be for a mental health professional.
For my doctor.
You're either dishonest or ignorant, and we can maybe figure out which. So here's the deal. I mean, I'm kind of, we're just meeting each other. I'm sort of kidding around, but here's the deal. There are no instances where, when issues come before the Supreme Court, it comes down to the dictionary definition of a word. When it comes to who counts as a woman, or what is discrimination, or what is negligence, it's always in very narrow circumstances where dictionary definitions do almost nothing for you. So she was very smart not to play into these kind of rhetorical black holes, because whatever definition she gives, Michael, she then is going to be pushed into some corner with some case or article or book she hasn't read, by the way, and there's no upside to it. So if we're just having a good faith conversation about strategy, she did the right thing. Almost 60% of Americans believe she's qualified, and she is. And that's really all there is to it. It's kind of boring.
Well, I agree with her. I don't agree with you that it's boring. I think it's one of the most interesting questions in the country, that we're now at a point where we can no longer even define man or woman. But I do agree with you on strategy. She's in a very tough spot because her side of the aisle, and she's relatively leftist, even by the standards of the Democratic Party. So on her side of the aisle, there is a new definition of woman. Well, they haven't given the definition of woman, but it's not the old definition of woman, which is a person who's not a man. That is out because of the transgender movement. And so she knows that if she gives this new definition, which is a woman is, a woman is someone who says that he or she is a woman, that's going to alienate, I think, the vast majority of Americans. If she gives the old definition that a woman is a female human being, and a female is of or denoting the sex that can bear children and reproduce and produce eggs, for instance, she knows that will alienate her base.
This is where the mask slips. When a judge says definitions don't matter, what she's really saying is she wants to do interpretation without anchors. Courts live on definitions. It's debate 101. Define terms or there is no dispute to resolve. If we can't agree what a woman is, how do we adjudicate Title IX, prisons, sports, scholarships, bathrooms, civil rights, anything? The whole point of law is meaning. If an ideology can't fit everywhere, it doesn't fit anywhere. How do you legally protect women's rights if there is no legal definition of woman? Michael Knowles perfectly uses David Packman's argument to prove his own point, that a freaking judge is not focused on truth, but focused more on strategy. She wants to dodge a question to not hurt her leftist community and also not alienate vast majority of Americans at the same time. Now, when a judge starts thinking about strategies, the left and the right, instead of absolute truth, that's when you know our country's law and order is fucking doomed.
But what about the law? What about the definition? You say she shouldn't be quoting the dictionary. Well, fine. Shouldn't she at least be able to give the legal definition of a woman? Shouldn't she, a woman, have some sense of what that is? I'm not a meteorologist. I can tell you if it's raining.
Yeah, there is no legal definition of a woman, and that's exactly the point. The point here is, when it comes to the court is in a position, or will be in a position, or might be in a position, to decide for the purposes of a particular set of facts based on a claim brought by someone who appeals a case about these issues. And so it's literally irrelevant to her job as a Supreme Court justice. And so, again, we can have a cultural discussion outside of the context of the Supreme Court. In the Senate's job in evaluating, is she qualified? It's an irrelevant question. And by her qualifications, she's more qualified than any of the 9 justices currently on the court. There's no way to deny that.
I think you can, because I think all of the 9 justices on the court can tell you what a woman is. And so I know we're getting back.
Because they've never been asked to do that. No, nobody's ever been asked to define words in this way during hearings. So you could speculate that, but they've never been asked. So
they've never been asked.
Impossible.
I agree, but I've never, but I, as a gambling man, I would bet the farm that Justice Alito could tell you what a woman is. But you're right; they've never been asked because it's never been controversial before. But I want to get to a point you just made. You said there's no legal definition of a woman, but there must be, because there are legal protections specifically for women. So if we don't know what a woman is, then
Title III thing
and Title IX, and Title IX is quite controversial.
Hold on, did they really just say the word woman has no legal meaning? That's not just wrong; it's dangerous. Courts define words every day. That's literally their job. Imagine playing a sport where nobody tells you what counts as a foul. Then everybody will be a freaking cheater, and that is what is happening. That's what happens when laws turn into Rorschach tests. Everyone sees what they want, and the referee can't blow the whistle. Title IX, pay equity laws, harassment protections, every one of them depends on clear definitions. You can't protect a class you can't even name. Real American people, like girls trying to make a team or a woman fighting for fair pay, all of them stand to lose if we turn language into fog. Reasonable people can define woman. Pretending we can't doesn't expand rights, it erases them. So here's the real question. If we stop defining anything, who gets to decide what justice even means?
I do want to, I mean, this is why I'm granting you you're making the point on political strategy. I totally grant you that. That was the right move for her to make if she wants to avoid it. But then bring up Title IX. I mean, there are legal protections for women. This is coming before the court. It's come before the court in the last term. There are going to be a lot more cases coming before the court coming up. It seems extraordinarily relevant that we know what this woman thinks of these issues and of a basic question of biology and human nature. What is a woman? I mean, I don't think that's a bad faith question for the senators or for me to ask.
No, it's not necessarily bad faith, but we have to be able to, what I hope are reasonable people, Michael, understand that in the context of her role as a Supreme Court justice, it doesn't come down to a biological opinion. Like, can you at least grant that piece?
Well,
that it's true that for what the Supreme Court decides, these are narrow issues where when it comes to Obamacare's constitutionality, which Amy Coney Barrett never, refused to weigh in on, or with all of these things, these are really narrow legal decisions, and there is no way in which a dictionary definition of terms does anything for us.
Well, it might do something, but I grant your point a little bit, except that Marcia Blackburn didn't ask for the biological definition or the dictionary definition. That's what Ketanji Jackson added. She said, I'm not a biologist. But all Marcia Blackburn asked was, just tell me what a woman is from a legal perspective, a constitutional perspective, a philosophical, I mean, whatever.
That's really not what Marcia Blackburn said. I would encourage you to pull the clip and identify the time at which she said that.
She said she didn't mention biology and she didn't mention the dictionary. She said, what's the
But you just asserted that she said she wanted the legal and philosophical. She never said that.
No, I didn't say that. I said I just said Marcia Blackburn asked for the definition, any sort of definition that Ketanji Jackson could give of woman. She didn't specify biology.
Now you're backtracking. Michael.
I'm not backtracking at all.
That's dishonest now.
I'm not back. How am I backtracking?
No. Hold on a second. Let's be clear. 30 seconds ago, you said Marcia Blackburn didn't ask for the biological. She asked for the legal.
No. I didn't.
Let me finish the sentence.
Okay, but you're misrepresenting what I said.
No, I'm not. I would encourage the audience to rewind.
I would encourage that. I would encourage that as well.
But can I even get it out?
Sure.
I mean, it's okay. The problem with what you just did, Michael, is you just said Blackburn asked for the legal definition, and I said, no, she didn't. You said, no, that's true. She actually just asked for the definition.
I'm sorry. Well, then if either you misheard or it seemed that I misspoke, I'll be very clear. Marcia Blackburn just said, what's the definition of a woman? She didn't specify anything else. Now, you then said that biology has no place here, or that the dictionary definition has no place, but that's not what Marcia Blackburn asked for. She just asked a simple question.
Understand that in these Supreme Court hearings, the senators can ask the questions however they want, and the nominees can answer them however they want.
Or not answer them.
My opinion is, this is my opinion, and you can have a different one, and that's the great thing about America, Michael. My opinion is that if you're interviewing for the job of Supreme Court Justice, it's reasonable to assume the questions have a legal bearing as to your role on the court. Given that, Judge Jackson was right to understand the point of the question is to back her into a rhetorical corner about legal definitions. And she was right to say, it's not something I can answer. These are narrow issues when they come before the court, and there's no reason that she would ask such a question.
You simply cannot tell me you don't know what a woman is and expect me to take you seriously on sex-based law. When you can't defend the premise, you smear the question. That's not argument, that's projection. When facts corner you, you call the corner bad faith. He literally just said dictionary definitions don't matter in court. We're starting right there, because once you accept that premise, you've accepted law without language. And that's how you get rulings that treat reality like a vibe. The move here is to label the question irrelevant because the answer is politically costly. That's not jurisprudence, that's intellectual dishonesty. Define your terms, defend your freedom, stay in baseline reality. If words don't mean anything, laws don't either. Comment your one-line definition below. Best one gets pinned. I'm Abhishek, and I'll see you tomorrow in the next episode.